Good morning, everyone. My name is Rashmikumar Shah. On behalf of Simplicity Investing, I welcome you all on this Saturday morning. Thank you for joining in, and thank you for all those people who are going to watch this later on. I appreciate that. Just a caveat before I start that this webinar is for people residing in India and for Indian investors. And we are not marketing any products, investments, or soliciting any investments. We are just talking about a theme and investment concepts. Okay, so let's begin. So today I'm going to talk about the role of information technology in your portfolio, correct? The information technology is a sector which has come up in last 30 years and it has changed the world. So what place it has in your portfolio and what is the future of this sector? How do we go it from here? So as we all know, in 1990s and 2000, in any office you go to India, you would see this kind of pile of files, correct? Everything was paper driven, physical, and we got used to shuffling papers, correct? We used to call it shuffling papers. Today, all that information, all this 100,000 files can be put in that one chip and you have a paperless office. Today, Simplicity, you take for example Simplicity, we have almost 1,000 clients and we don't have a single paper, correct? It's seamless, everything is digitalized, everything is through technology, and the offices are, anybody can access that document from anywhere in the world, correct? And that is the efficiency the technology has got, and all that information is in cloud, and it's not in physical office location at one particular place. So that much the world has changed in the last 30 years or 20 years or even last 10 years, you can say that. Business wouldn't have been able to scale up. So technology has allowed business to scale up, correct? And this is just the beginning. So where do we go from here? So if you take technology has two parts, software and hardware. So now speaking about hardware, you see this, how laptop in 1990s were there and now what kind of laptops we see today. See the phones, correct? And the phones have become so powerful. Today, there were no cameras. The phone was only functioning as a phone, mobile phone in the early 1990s. Today, your mobile phone is everything, correct? It's a payment. You can make payments, you can take pictures, you can chat, and the cost of communication has practically become zero. I'm talking to you from US and doing this webinar, and anybody in India from any part of the world can watch this, and that too free. Can you imagine? That was not possible. And that was not possible 20 years back. So the cost has come down. Today you can make an international call on WhatsApp free. Everything is free. You can watch your movie free, correct? And it has disrupted everything. So this was not possible a few years back. This was not possible. Now this has changed people's life. This has changed, destroyed so many businesses and created so many new businesses. So from where do we go from here, correct? So now today understanding technology has become so important that if you don't understand technology, whether you are a consumer or you're a manufacturer, or you're a professional, you're a businessman, employee, it doesn't matter. You'll be left behind if you don't understand. So that is the importance of technology. So every portfolio also need to have technology stocks. But now, how do you understand? Where do you invest in technology? That's what I'm going to talk about today, correct? So now, if you see how the technology also played one of the biggest role in financial and banking services, correct? Today, the money rotation through digital payments has become 36 times faster, or maybe more, we don't know, correct? Digitally, you can transfer money anywhere in any part of the world in a fraction of seconds. So the commerce has increased, the liquidity has gone up, correct? And this has, technology has made it possible. You don't have to physically carry money like in the olden days. People used to carry money physically, correct? And that's why they used to have gold bars as a medium of exchange at many times, then paper currency, and then demand drafts or cashier's checks and checks. But that slows down the process. Today, you can digitally transfer money anywhere, correct? And now we are getting a new form of currency, bitcoins, correct? So things are changing, and this has really, technology has really shaped the financial markets. So that is one of the area where maximum disruption has happened, and it is a good disruption, correct? Now, the COVID thing, if you see the COVID made it further disruption and accelerated the trends even further, correct? So in India, demonetization was the first hit to the businesses in India who were dealing in cash. Then came GST, and then came the COVID, correct? So after COVID, what has happened? You see businesses of two types. Those who are dealing in cash and physical, their businesses have suffered very badly. They have still not recovered. But those companies and businesses who are already using technology, their businesses have grown up 100%. Every business has grown up 100%. So COVID has accelerated trends, correct? COVID has differentiated the work cultures, correct? Or people, professions, IT, especially IT people or knowledge-based industries, they can work from anywhere, which is not the case of physical labor, correct? They have to go. So, but remote work has become possible. Now today, 20 to 25% of workforce across the globe is going to work from home. And that trend is going to be permanent. Because of this, technology progresses even further, correct? Automation. There is more automation, more digitalization, and this has brought change in spending habits, correct? Today we can order food online. Can you imagine 15 years back, 20 years back, anybody ordering masala dosa online and coming to your doorstep? Today you can get even a chai at your only a doorstep, correct? That kind of digitalization has happened, which is amazing, correct? And this has made possible for people to work home, stay at remote places, order food, and enjoy life, correct? So it has opened new doors. So technology is further disrupting our life, or further changing our life, or further upgrading our life, or whichever way you look at it, correct? As a result of that, many new technology companies which are coming in the market, they are getting higher valuation than traditional businesses. Take for example Zomato IPO, correct? It's still loss making, but it got a very nice, very high valuation, correct? Now, why this is happening? Because the future prospects of this business are very high, and they are disrupting and changing and allow the companies to increase their reach, correct? Increase their reach, expand their market, and cut the cost. The cost is getting cut everywhere, correct? So that's the reason technology companies get higher valuation. Today, for example, in our business, Simplicity's business, 10 years back, if I had to expand my business, I had to rent offices, physical locations, or buy properties in different cities. Today, I don't have to do that. Today, I have to invest in technology. Today, I have to invest in better website, better customer experience. So if I don't need physical locations. So real estate has been replaced by technology. So most companies are spending more money, capex, on technology than physical assets, correct? So that has happened. So technology companies are getting a higher valuation. Now, if you break up the impact of technologies, there are two parts to it, correct? The first part is the consumer facing. So for example, global communication. Technology has made communication very cheap and access to anyone, correct? In 1970s or 80s in India, to get a phone line, there was a hard line, correct? You had 7 to 8 years was a waiting period. When I passed my chartered accountancy in 1980, I couldn't get a phone. I had to take a phone of somebody else and pay a premium to them and get that phone line and use that. Phone line was not possible that time. Waiting period was 6 to 7 years. Today, anybody anywhere in India has a mobile phone. We have more than 1 billion mobile connections in India, correct? So global communication has become very cheap. Banking has become very easy. Money can rotate 100 times. The same $100,000 can rotate from 100 accounts today. That was not possible. Through check, you can transfer money only once in a day, correct? So banking has become easy. We can order food and groceries. You can book online tickets. No more travel agents are required. It has cut the flap everywhere. You can book tickets anywhere online, correct? And you can watch movies. You can get consumptions, news, everything online. You don't need to subscribe. Now, this is the consumer facing. Now, so technology has played a very good role, but technology has also played the way we live and the way the world functions. But okay, this slide is getting again. And technology has also changed the way the business functions, correct? So this is the business side of it. Now, in business side, technology is playing very different role. It allows business to expand geographically anywhere in the world, correct? And also the data collection is so huge. So you are getting business intelligence, artificial intelligence, DNA sequencing, so many new things are happening. So this is a business side. Now this side of the benefits India has still not seen. We are going to see those benefits in next coming 5 years, and you will see a massive change. Massive change, we are going to see this, correct? And where competition will be so intense that small players won't survive. It will only the big companies, big players, and people who really give customer experience, they are going to do well. So information technology is changing increasing the competition in the business also, correct? And this is the other side of it, which we have yet to see, really see the hard impact of that in India. Now, let me give an example. Technology increases the productivity. So technology is moving much faster than business productivity is increasing. So if business productivity is increasing by 10 times, the technology is moving ahead by 50 times. And so there is a huge scope for productivity to go up in the next few years. And that is going to cause a lot of disruptions and displacement among small businesses. And it's only going to be very focused, big, large players and key, what you call expertise or boutique players who know what they are doing. They are going to succeed. So we need to understand the impact of the technology and that change. So I'll give you the example in wealth management, in our business, correct? So 90% of the advisors are working physical, correct? They go paperwork, personal contacts, and that's how investments were made. Now, today, companies like Simplicity have come, and you can work with us digitally from anywhere in the world, correct? And you get far better service, far better access to information, and we are approachable 24 hours, 365 days in a year. When you are physical, they are office hours, correct? So the competition has become intense, and the productivity has gone up. Today, I can serve the customer from Pune or Bombay to anywhere in the world. So my productivity per employee has gone up, which was not the case before, correct? So technology has no bounds, correct? No boundaries. So this is changing the landscape. And the real benefit of, the real growth of use of technology in India is yet to come. So we'll see a massive growth, correct? So let me give you an example. You can minutely plan any business activity using technology, which was not possible 10 years back, which was not possible. Now, let me give you an example. Recently, in the US, 2 companies, they started a service that you can go in space and see the world from outer space, correct? And $100,000 is the ticket within 4 hours you can go in space and see that. So new boundaries are getting open, and this is done by private players, correct? Space exploration, which was not possible. This is all because of technology, correct? And the cost is coming down. Now data is the new oil, correct? Today, whoever has the more information, so for example, if I want to open a new office, I want to know where is the concentration of HNI clients. I can go to Google, and Google will tell me. I pay them a service. So Google has so much data that what kind of population stays where. So if I want to open a Starbucks wants to open a new branch, Google will tell them which is the best location for them to open a new location. So that kind of stuff. So data, and big companies, and most of these services are free, correct? Now, in information technology, again, there are two parts, correct? Software and hardware. Now, if you see in software, in India is very good in software services, but creating original software, India is way behind the world, correct? We are still dependent on America. We are still dependent on this software core products from US. India is still way behind. In hardware also, India is nowhere in the world picture. Hardware, 90% of the hardware comes from US, or it comes from China, or it comes from South Korea or Japan, that side. India has still yet to develop that. So, but when you are investing in technology, when you are building a portfolio, you need to have both these components, software and hardware. And I'm coming to that, how you identify that, correct? Because this is the two sectors which are going to grow exponentially in the future, correct? Now, factors that determine trends, correct? Why this software and technology is important? Because technology determines how business is going to conduct it in the future, and how the costs are going to cut. Technology cuts the cost, correct? So if you look at the history of the human mankind, ships cut the cost of transportation, raw material, correct? Previously, otherwise every economy had to be self-reliant. They couldn't import or export. But when ships came, you could transport logs or iron ore from one country to another, correct? Then came the locomotive engines, correct? They allowed transportation of raw materials and brought the cost of raw materials further down. Transportation did that. Then later on, technology is reducing the cost of manpower, correct? What technology is doing, allowing companies to go and work and get people from, make them work from the place where the labor is the cheapest. So technology is bringing innovation, and you need to understand that going forward, if you don't understand technology, you may not understand how to build a portfolio. So technology is the number one driver in designing a portfolio. Number two, again, demographics. The world population is not going to increase, but the mix is going to change. Now, I'll give you a classic example. India is average is 28, America the average is 40. But now, if you look at this the other way around, technology, young people adopt technology more. So Indians are big consumers of technology, but America, the age is 40, but they are creating more technology. How they are able to do that? Because they have created a very good environment, government policies, where it's very easy to set up business and close business, and there's a lot of support systems, correct? And the culture there is a very good culture for innovation. Now, you need to understand that. Now, but younger people adopt technology much faster than the older people. Now, India is a young country, so the technology adoption will be much faster in India than other countries where old age population is there. The other thing we have to see, the medical technology also is advancing at a rapid pace, and especially after COVID, there is much more innovation and research going on there. The other thing you have to understand when you're investing in technology stocks or sectors, the culture, correct? When we invest in technology stocks, we're investing globally. So we have to understand the culture and how each economy in each day functions. So I'll talk about that in the later part of the presentation. Now coming back to what changes technology is doing. Technology is disrupting everything. So even if one technology is working today, you can't rely on that. Tomorrow some other new technology will come in and disrupt. So I'll give an example, best example of Yahoo. Yahoo was number one email service in 90s, correct? Then America Online was the number one internet service provider. Today both of them, Yahoo is still there, but Google came and finished them, correct? Then you talk about Blockbuster videos, correct? That it was a blue chip company one time. It went bankrupt, correct? So they can get competition from overnight from somewhere. Netflix came and killed Blockbuster, correct? Global wars, geopolitics gets played because of technology now. Physical wars are no longer required, correct? The wars are being played in technology, financial markets. We carry business, family, wealth on our mobiles, correct? Through our mobile, we keep connect everything in our bank statements, our investments, our personal pictures, everything is on mobile today, correct? Everything is on mobile. And it's changing the socio-economic culture of every society. So technology is bringing a lot of innovation, and it's just the beginning part of it. Just the beginning part of it. Now, how India has embraced the technology, if you see that, today we have 1.2 billion unique digital identity in the world, correct? One of the largest, Aadhaar, correct? We have more internet subscriptions. We have smartphone devices, correct? The cost per data has gone down to one. It's so cheap now, the data in India. Previously, you require huge office spaces to store physical paperwork, correct? Everything has changed, correct? And the consumption of now, like even movies and everything, has become so cheap because of the data storage has become so easy. And people spend more time on mobile phones and laptops than they spend with friends and families, correct? We spend so much time there. It has changed. Today, you see that the movie theater is vanished. You can Netflix has got your movie sitting in your bathroom. You can watch a movie, correct? A latest movie, you can do that. That is the technology, power of technology. Previously, you had to go and watch in a theater a movie. The movie has come to your bathroom. That is the disruption it has done. So because of this, the market cap valuation of technology sector is one of the fastest growth in India. You have seen that. If you see the technology sector growth here, it's one of the highest, correct? That is in last 20 years. But where do we go from here? I think this is just the beginning. So you look at NASDAQ, you look at Dow Jones. In Dow Jones, the technology sector has a 35, S&P 500, technology has a 35% weightage. In India, the technology sector has 16% weightage. In India, banking and financial services has 39% weightage. If you see China, technology has 35% weightage. So same thing is going to happen in India. In America, the banking and financial services had a higher weightage in 1980s and 90s. They had much higher weight that time. Today, banking and financial services is less than 10% weightage in S&P 500. The same trend is going to come to in India, where banking and financial services weights are going to come down, and the weightage of technology stocks is going to go up. So you need to understand your portfolios, to building the portfolio that way. The other thing we have to see here, technology is also going to replace a lot of traditional jobs, a lot of jobs where administrative work, like accounting, legal services, a lot of physical work which we were doing in the past is going to replace that, and new generation of workers are going to come. So that is also going to create a lot of pain in the job market. There is going to be extreme shortage of highly skilled software engineers and innovators, but there is going to be abundant people who are working in sales, administrative jobs. There are going to be fewer jobs and more people, because they have not changed. So that change we are going to see. E-commerce still is at the beginning phase. Even in America, if you take, the e-commerce is only 20% of the total retail sales. In India, e-commerce is only 7% of the total retail sales. Highest adoption is in 24% in UK. You will see that. Imagine if what happens in India if e-commerce is 30% of the total. Just imagine what will happen. How many small businesses will go, and there will be consolidation between few large companies, which will benefit because of that. So you will see that change in the coming few years. Now, how these technology companies work. The journey begins, with launching with digital initiatives or some idea, and they experiment, and then they scale up, correct? Then they scale up, and afterwards, when they scale up, the first company or second company which scales up, they benefit, and they get huge valuation. And so we saw that in Microsoft, we saw that in Apple, Google, Facebook. So the initial leader, it becomes very difficult to beat them afterwards. So we have to focus that way also. The same trend is going to continue going forward. Then impact of trends across various industries. And here I'm sharing with you. So wherever it is blue, that means the trend is much higher. Orange, it's a moderate, and white means it's gray, is limited in influence, correct? So if you see this in automation, a maximum impact going forward is going to be auto industry. They say car is going to be your biggest computer in the world. So that change I already am seeing in America. We'll see that change coming in India slowly. In the next 15-20 years, the car is going to be the biggest mobile computer in the world. Everything is going to get computerized that. And they expect accident rates to come to zero in America. I'm not sure what's going to happen in India because of the density of population, but driverless cars, that kind of technologies are coming. And I've already seen so many cars in America which are, if you are changing the lanes, it guides you, it tells you, no, it's very good. The technology is very good, so the number of accidents are coming down. So you will see this in every field, technology. But remember, the maximum innovation going forward is going to happen in the automobile industry. So we have to focus on that also when you are building a portfolio, investing, correct? We'll see that. Organized play, and the other trend we have seen in COVID and others, after demonetization, that organized players are increasing their market share and unorganized players. So last week I was talking to a few of my clients and asking them at ground level, how's the business going? He says those who had 100% check business and cash, no physical cash business, they are doing very good. And technology adoption for them is easy, and we are getting online orders, and we are fine. But those who were physical, they never implemented technology, still used to person to person dealing and dealing in cash, their businesses are dead. They are suffering. And that's what happened. And that business has gone to the corporate world. As you also noticed that in last 1 year, India's GDP went up by only 2%, but the corporate profits went up by 40%. So what it tells you is the corporate gained more market share, correct? The same. Now, today in the global market, in the global technology market, this data is of 2013. I have not got the latest data, but in 2013, India's share in technology market, from 2013, is in 2020, India's total market share in the global technology is less than 2%. We think India is, when we hear of Infosys and all those companies, yes, we think India is a leader in software. No, our share in software, in technology, is only less than 2% of the global technology market. So imagine, we are 15% of world's population. So if we catch up there, where information technology market in India will go. So we have a lot of catching up to do, and I'm sure India will do well in that. So when building a portfolio today in information technology, IT, you need to have in your portfolio Indian companies, global companies, and innovative companies. All three should be in the portfolios. So I'll give an example. In the next few slides, you see that there are two kinds of companies, correct? So these are Indian companies who are software services, correct? Then software services. Then these are companies which are adopting technologies very well. So which are adopting technologies and benefiting, like HDFC, NSE, Asian Paints. They are ICICI. They are not technology creators, but they're using technology in their business very well. So that's why they're getting high valuation. And these companies are creating software services. So they are getting very high valuation. But in addition to that, in your portfolio, in India, all these companies are operating, correct? Microsoft, AMD, Netflix, Samsung, Google, their business in India is growing faster than India's GDP. So you need to have these companies also in the portfolio. Now, though they are foreign companies, but they are operating in India, but they are not listed in India. So, but they are gaining more market share, and their earnings are going up. So like today, just now, this webinar is on YouTube. I'm using Google product, correct? Everyone in India is using Microsoft. I'm sure 80% of people in India are using Netflix. So you need Hotstar, correct? Hotstar. So gaming laptops, chips, correct? All these companies are there. So in your portfolio, you need to have this. Though they are not listed in India, they are companies doing business in India, and their growth is faster than India's economic growth. That's why they should be in your portfolio. Corporate profit, as I said, is going up. We have just started the uptrend. We will see a massive growth in corporate profits in next 2 years, which is a good thing. But market is already discounted partially, and the stock market has already gone up. Now, so India has a long way to compete in the software and hardware market, correct? So the growth is yet to begin. Now, what I'm trying to say is, when you're building a portfolio, you need to have all kind of sectors in your portfolio. Now, you need to have core digital sectors, core digital companies, and the companies which are using technologies very effectively, and build a portfolio accordingly, the growth wise. And that the traditional way of doing business is not going to work any longer. So building the portfolio is that. Now still we are in the what you call not in the hyper mode stage of technology adoption. We are still the middle phase, correct? We are still in the middle phase. So companies where the technology adoption is still lower, like life insurance, wholesale oil and gas, property casualty insurance, still there's a lot of physical paperwork there, correct? But technology is much more higher adoption rate is in this kind of sectors. So but the sectors where technology has gone very fast are yet to emerge in India, like what they are in US, correct? We'll see that happening in next few years. Now here I'm showing you the performance of information technology sectors in US. Now the reason I'm showing you in US, because the same trend is going to come in India, and you need to understand it. In technology sector, IT sector, there is a communication equipment. This is a hardware sector. This is electronic equipment and storage components like memory chips, IT services, semiconductors, software, and technology hardware. Now the overall technology sector in the last 5 years has given 245% return. 245% return. This is absolute. This is not CAGR. So 245% over a period of 5 years it has given a return. But within that sector, if you see, technology and hardware and storage has given 387 sector. Software is 346%. So these sectors have outperformed. Telecommunication is underperformed. And the same case has happened in India, correct? Now, but overall S&P 500 has gone up by only 101%. So the overall business has gone up by 101%, but the technology sector has given 2.5 times the return, and certain sectors within that sector has given 3.5 to 4 times the return. That outperformance is there. Now I'll show you the data from different perspective. If you look at from 2000 till 2021, if I compare Dow Jones, Nasdaq, Nifty and Sensex, and if somebody invested 100,000 or 1 lakh rupees in the year 2000, Nifty gave the highest return, 940%. Bombay Stock Exchange gave this, but Nasdaq gave 294 and Dow Jones gave 207% return, correct? So it's basically India has outperformed. But if you look at last 10 years, it shows a different picture. So in 2010, somebody invested, Nasdaq has given highest return. So the technology outperformance has just started in last 10 years. What it tells you is, then S&P 500 is second best, Nifty and Sensex is here, and this is India IT, NSE Nifty, India IT Index Fund. So I'll talk about that in the next slide. So if you take after COVID, correct, post-COVID, if I take post-COVID, from January 2020, Nifty, so NSE Nifty IT Index has given the highest return. Nasdaq second highest return. So Indian software sector has outperformed overall indices. It has outperformed everyone, correct? So the best performing sector in Nifty has been IT sector for after post-COVID, and that performance has just started, correct? So you need to now, so the IT information technology should be the core part of your portfolio, every person, correct? Now, how do you build that? Building a portfolio building is a process. It's not a tip-based or random emotional investing. It's a process, and that process requires 3 parts of it, correct? The 3 parts is you need to be very strategic. You need to think global and keep it simple. So you need to be very strategic. Why you are investing it? What is the purpose? What is the game plan? How you are going to do it? Think global, correct? And you have to have good IT companies, infrastructure, IT from India and from abroad, and keep it simple. Don't complicate it, correct? Don't complicate it to like timing the market and investing in much larger. Keep it simple. So you need to do that. Now, so I'll give you how you build a strategy. So just try to understand the strategy, how you play a test match, a cricket test match. What strategy the Indian team or any team follows in a cricket test match. So I'm going to compare that with how you do that in the investing market, correct? So let's say, what is a test match cricket strategy? So there are 5 days. On day 1, you build a base. You don't try to hit and try to win the game on day 1. No. On day 1, you try to build a base, a solid base. Day 2, what you do? Consolidate. Day 3, what you do? Reevaluate the situation of your team versus the opposite team, and further then in day 4, you try to take a lead, and day 5, you go for a kill and attack. That's what happened in the last test match, correct? Till day 4, nobody knew who was going to win, and the end of day 4, England was ahead. On day 5, India became aggressive. They didn't become aggressive here. They became aggressive here, correct? And that's what important. Same way in your portfolio building strategy, you don't become aggressive in the base. So there are 5 years. You need to, any portfolio when you're building, you should look at 5 years. You can't look at 1 year or 1 week or 1 month, or return nahi milta hai, what is it? Then this is not the place for investments. Build a base by focusing on and increasing your investment. Year 1. Year 2, fine tune your long-term strategy. See how it's going. Evaluate and consolidate. Year 3, sorry, this is the typographical. Year 3, you evaluate your long-term goals and investment performance of the portfolio. Year 4, consolidate and be aggressive your investments and go for the kill. So what I've observed, the clients who are with us for more than 5 years, they went for the kill last year, correct, for the COVID. So it was a very good year, correct? It was a very good year. Now, those who have not invested and they want to start building a portfolio from today, you have to start from here. You can't compare those returns to what you got last year. Those last year clients got 100% return in IT. You're not going to get 100% return investing today. But in next 5 years, sometime, again that same thing is going to happen. So that's why you need to build a strategy for next 5 years and start building the portfolio. So next 12 months are going to be very interesting for India. Okay, very interesting. The markets are not going to run away the way they ran in last 12 months. Though the economy is going to recover very fast, the market is already gone ahead and factored that into it. Now, what is going to happen in next 12 months? You are going to see a little bit of volatility. So when the volatility, but over a longer period of time, markets are going to go up. So you need to continue building your portfolio and work that way, correct? You can't see returns of last year and expect those kind of returns this year. You are going to get logical returns, correct, this year, and we'll see. I don't see the markets coming down, but I'm not seeing markets running away also. But overall, the direction of the market is long term is very good. So with this, I end my today's presentation, and feel free to ask me questions, and let's see what questions I have got. Yeah, the first question, thank you, and please subscribe to our channel. Yeah, the first question is, considering India is yet to benefit from latest technology like genome sequence, artificial intelligence, blockchain, what should be our portfolio allocation strategy be? Yeah, so our portfolio allocation strategy should be the same, correct? 15% allocation should be for the US IT sector, and 15% should be to India IT sector, 10 to 15%. And the same strategy we need to continue, so that the US allocation what we are giving has those kind of stocks, correct? The India's information technology also have that kind of stocks, but the percentage is much lesser. So we need to continue that doing that. Now, if you want to have higher exposure to blockchain technology and all those, there are different funds available in India. But that strategy your allocation should not be more than 15% of those funds. So next question is, focus on technology is more in Paytm than SBI. Do you think Paytm will beat SBI valuation in the future? I don't think so. Paytm, Paytm, yes, it's a very good technology and easy access to transfer money and all that. But the base SBI has, correct, of the customer base, and India is still 60%, 65% rural India, correct? They are not going to adopt technology, though they will use Paytm for small transactions. They'll use Paytm for this, but for bigger transactions, they'll still go to State Bank of India. I don't see that happening, but I won't consider it to be a fair comparison. You need to have both in your portfolio, correct? We need to have both and evaluate it accordingly. Yeah. Can we also consider companies like CDSL, HDFC, CAMS, NSE, Zomato as technology companies? Yes. I would consider them as financial. They are good in using technologies, correct? Yeah. So those are, partially technology and partially business. Yeah. But though they are not traditionally brick motor companies, I would call it. Yeah. They are technology companies. What would ETF investment products will be available in India like they are in US? When would the ETF investment? They already started coming in a big numbers. We have seen that. But the danger of ETF investments is then the trading mentality comes, correct? So anything which is very simple, so people like to trade and they become impulsive. Whereas mutual funds, they will control your emotions, correct? So I would say a mix of both are good. Even in America, though ETFs are available, still 60% of the portfolio money is still in mutual funds, and ETFs are more used for trading and hedging and all that kind of stuff, correct? Yeah. So if you're building a large portfolio, a small percentage in ETF is fine, but a very large percentage, if you go to ETF, then the trading mentality will come, and eventually you'll get less gain. To save that 0.5%, you will lose 10 or 15% of the gains in the market. That's what happened to many people last year, correct? So if you see Zerodha and all these other platforms, there are no fees. People went there and they traded, but there is no one to stop them also. Whereas at our place, we don't allow two people trade, correct? And there is a fee service here. So they could capture the entire market gains at our place. But if you were in Zerodha, you saw some bad news in the morning, your mood was not good, and you sold your portfolio. And that's what has happened with 90% of the investors. So what is stopping Indian companies to, next question, what is stopping Indian companies to invest more in innovation technologies like how it's in the US? No, nobody is stopping them. It's the culture. Correct? Like in America, failure is acceptable. In India, failure is not acceptable. So if somebody declares a bankruptcy, there is a shaming culture in India, correct? Which is not there in America. Okay, in America they'll say, I messed up, let's start over again. And people will accept that person. In India, people don't accept that person. Oh, he declared bankruptcy, oh, acha aadmi nahi hai. So people don't take that risk, correct? So the culture is very different. Like why Indians don't get so many Olympic gold medals and why Americans get. Because in India, the kids, parents hammer their kids. Go and sports karke tu kya karega? How much money you're going to earn? Go and do education. We don't send kids to sports, correct? We don't encourage them. Whereas in America, the parents will say to their son or daughter, do what makes you happy. Correct? That's not how many Indian parents will tell their kids, do what makes you happy. And that's why India got only one Olympic gold medal and America got so much. It's the culture. So I don't blame the businessman or the government. It's the culture of the society which brings that, correct? Is this right time to allocate more money to IT sector in our portfolio? Yes, partially, not too much, but yes, we can gradually increase and we can reevaluate that, the portfolio, yeah. We can do that. So mutual funds are better than ETFs. So mutual funds are better in the sense they control the human behavior much better way than ETFs. So ETF is, like today everybody wants everything free, correct? So ETF, the cost structure is very low. So everybody wants a deal. So if you want a deal, you go to ETF, correct? You go to free service, correct? But if there is no coach, there is no mentor, there is no one stopping you. So the kind of volatility last year happened, COVID thing happened, everybody panicked, correct? Now, in our place, we didn't allow any clients to panic. We didn't allow, and we asked them to invest when market came down by 40%. Most of the places that was not happening, correct? People liquidated their portfolio. So they missed 100% gain. So it's about that, correct? It's the recent news that we can buy US stock from NSE and BSE. Yes, we have yet to see how operational it becomes. We are also waiting for that. That will be very good. So that will make even our life very easier if we can buy NSEs on NSE US stocks. Then taxation, conversion, and everything. I'm waiting for that to come. It will be very good for the Indian market, capital market. What is the future for neo-banking? Wow. Yeah, these are all new concepts. Yeah, we'll see, correct, how people adopt it. Like this, so many new things are coming. I really don't know much about that, but I'll look into it and I'll answer your question personally. No, but lot of, yeah, good question. A lot of things are going to change, correct? Yeah, but still the traditional banking, the wealth management business, insurance business, they are all still going to do very well, correct? Yeah. Why telecommunication is underperformed? Telecommunication is underperformed because it requires massive capital investment, like airline. So there are two industries, correct, in the world: airline and telecommunications, which both require massive infrastructure investments, and both are critical for the global growth. Now, in telecommunication, the government regulations, like in airline industry also, the regulations are very high, correct? So that's why it attracts less capital and the valuation is, but we can see a rebound in that telecommunication industry. It's a value sector, I can call it now at this juncture. Yeah, so they should do well. Do you think crypto or Bitcoin may replace gold in the near future? No, it may not replace in the near future. Crypto and Bitcoin, blockchain technology will do very well. I would say the technology will do very well. Crypto and blockchain, Bitcoin valuation, we'll see how they do after when the interest rate starts going up. When the interest rates start going up and liquidity becomes tight, I see them coming down sharply. Would Idea won't survive Jio and Bharti Airtel? Nobody knows the answer to this question, correct? Even the government doesn't know, even the promoters don't know. But my call is looking at as a third person that Idea will survive because it's a very big 30% of market share India has it, and it will be sad for the Indian consumer, Indian market, and the Indian government if Idea doesn't survive. The biggest loser is going to be Indian government. So, because if there is less competition, they are going to get less money for their spectrum, and there is going to be less growth in India. Correct? We need competition in that sector, and I think Idea will survive. But let's wait and watch, see what happens. Correct? Yeah. Oh wow, a lot of questions. Correct? Okay, with this I end my today's webinar. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. Correct? I hope you enjoyed it. Bye. Take care.